Hey guys, in today's lecture, we'll be discussing Plato's concept of idealism and we'll be seeing how this concept gets reflected in the poem Ozymandias written by P.B. Shelley. Now without further ado, let's begin today's lecture with an introduction on Plato. Now who is Plato? Plato was an ancient Greek philosopher. He was born in the city of Athens and he is believed to have lived between 427 BC and 347 BC. He was a disciple of Socrates. You might be familiar with Socrates and his idea of poet as an inspired or a winged being. Plato was also the teacher of the great Greek philosopher Aristotle. Plato is considered as one of the most influential philosophers in the history of philosophy, primarily because Plato presented his philosophical works in a very systematic manner. Among his most important ideas are the theory of forms or the theory of ideas, the allegory of the cave, which we'll be discussing shortly in today's lecture, and he has also come up with the idea of dualism, which is popularly known by the name Platonic dualism, which divides our world into the visible world or the visible realm and the intelligible one or the intelligible realm which exists in our mind. In 387 BC, Plato founded the Academy. The Academy was a school of philosophy that lasted for 900 years, and some of the major subjects which were taught in the Academy were mathematics, medicine, rhetoric, and astronomy. And these subjects were taught among various other disciplines. Today, the Academy is considered as one of the first universities of the Western world. Plato's philosophy was compiled in various works and generally they are known by the name Platonic dialogues or Plato's dialogues, mainly because of the way in which these philosophies are structured, because they are all presented in a dialogic form or in the form of a dialogue. So Plato's concepts are often presented through different characters. His works can be divided as those works which were written when he was young, that is during his youth, those works which were written after he attained maturity, and those works which were written during his old age. Now most of Plato's dialogues are presented by Socrates, or Socrates appears as a main character in his dialogues, save for one, all except for one work which is titled The Apology of Socrates. Now the work, The Apology, was written as a defense to the trial of Socrates. So here Plato was defending his teacher Socrates, and it is famous, the trial of Socrates is famous because the great Greek philosopher Socrates was tried for corrupting the youth of Athens by the Athenian government. He was accused of impiety or irreverence for the gods, Greek gods. So he was accused of impiety and he was accused of corrupting the young youth of Athens, and there was a famous trial which was conducted to acquit him, and the jury, they all voted against Socrates, and Socrates was even willing to pay a fine to avoid contempt, but then again Socrates was finally condemned to death and he had to drink the poison hemlock, and that is how Socrates died. He was forced to drink the poison hemlock. Now, when Socrates' trial was going on, our Plato published the Republic, and he condemned the Athenian government for condemning a great philosopher king. And in his ideal republic, Plato wanted philosophers to guide the world. Moving on to some of the major works written by Plato. Plato has authored numerous influential philosophical works. Some of them are listed below, and they are Apology, or a defense of Socrates during his infamous trial; Gorgias, which explores the subjects such as rhetoric, politics and justice; Meno, which introduces the idea of knowledge as a reminiscence, something that we remember. Phaedo, which discusses the immortality of the soul. The Symposium, which explores themes such as love and desire. The Republic, which is a comprehensive work on justice, ethics, and the ideal state. And it is in this work that Plato talks about his ideal republic, where the philosopher kings would guide the world. Then he wrote Phaedrus, which addresses love and rhetoric, and the Timaeus, which explores cosmology and metaphysics. So Plato was a philosopher who had varied interest, or he had an eclectic taste. He dealt with everything under the sun, from ethics, justice to metaphysics and cosmology.